Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Rodrigue Chakode.
Okay, hi. My name is Rodrigue Chakode. I come from France, but originate from Cameroon. So sorry for my French and Cameroonian accent. So I'm going to talk to you about effective monitoring for demand operation environment. Actually, I will just talk about business service management, which the goal is to evolve to focus on individual check, but to have a high-level view of your monitoring infrastructure. So before going to further explanation, I will give some introduction about me. I also give some basic concepts that we need to know to better understand this talk. I will also talk about the challenge of ineffective monitoring, notably in environment like network operation center and large data center. I will also show how it is necessary to move to a business service view of the monitoring infrastructure. Then I will introduce RealOpInsight, which is a software to provide business service management on top of Nagios. It is a project that I created only since 2010. So I will give some feedback at the end. So about me, I'm the leader of RealOpInsight project since 2010. I also hold a PhD in computer science, but in the area of high-performance computing and cloud computing. I work for a company named Citation as software engineer. I also lead the OpenNebula community in France. So if you want to join with me through social media, here is my LinkedIn profile. So here I call service basically a IT functionality like MySQL service. A business service is a service providing high-level value add to applications or to end user. For example, a hosting service. It is also called business process. We can use some abbreviation, business service or business service management or monitoring. It's the same thing. So we start with this citation from Stefan Brosmeyer. It's a guy from France who say too many alarms kill alarms. Why? Because if you see a basic monitoring scheme, you have Nagios engine who monitor device application through passive or active check, and then display result in the dashboard with an entry for each item. But with this flat display, it is not possible to be effective. How? Because you need to deal with a huge number of checks. For a simple example, it is a basic infrastructure. If you have 100 hosts and then 8 checks per host, you will have at least 800 checks to manage. With a flat screen, you could not manage that easily. You need to scroll, and then when an incident arises, you don't know really how this incident impacts your business. Because each incident do not have the same impact of your application service or end user service. So you need to evolve fast alert, because with a huge infrastructure, you could have some alerts who don't really impact your business. So for example, I consider here a basic example. I illustrate a streaming service. It is not the real life daily motion, it is just an example. The streaming service relies on 3 disks, database services. So if you consider that one of the disks failed, the question is how this failure really actually impact your business. Without a knowledge of your infrastructure, you can answer this question easily. For example, consider that your disk I mount using RAID 0. So data is stripped around the disk, over the disk. There, the service will be directly impacted by the destruction of the disk. But if you have a RAID 1, the service could be degraded, but we could continue to operate. But without additional information, we can provide with a flat display the notion of impact according to our business. So it is important that we could add business value to the monitoring view in order to be effective. Because our monitoring tool cannot actually determine what is important, is not important. It is we, the owner application and the infrastructure. We can determine that this incident should be critical or not critical according to some configuration we made. So we need to prioritize our work based on business need. And then we need to think business services. BMC think that this allows to reduce the downtime by up to 75%, while allowing to be effective up to 30%. So a business service may rely on basic IT service, one or more, and depend on other business service. For example, a streaming service depends on the web server depends on the database, depends on the network and the operating system, and so on. At the low level, naturally, you will have individual checks. We have something related to basic IT. This allows me to present a more natural way to deal with that, a hierarchical view. At the bottom level, we have what Nagios and your monitoring system allow you to have. This allows, for example, to detect that a disk has failed. Then, according to our configuration, the knowledge that we have to the infrastructure, we can aggregate this over the hierarchy to determine how really this impact our business service. This requires that at each level, we define advanced rule to aggregate severity or to propagate the severity. For instance, I need to determine how the severity for a certain service will be propagated to a parent service. At the same time, at the parent service, I could determine how the severity are calculated according to the severity of the child load. But this is not the network map as we know, because with a classical network map as we have in Nagios, it is relation between devices, not the relation between among applications. When you have a switch related to a router, it is not a vision of, for instance, a streaming service that depends on database that depends on several servers. So it is more complex. Some example, I present the case with RAID 1 or RAID 0 or RAID 1. You can also have redundant database. You can have redundant site. There are a lot of examples like that, but that depends on your infrastructure. You need to know your infrastructure to determine advanced rule to aggregate severity to know how each incident really impacts your business. It's important. So the goal is not to build new monitoring system because there are powerful systems like Nagios. You need to provide add-on that allow to deal with that in order to be efficient. For example, Nagios Business Add-on, it's a good starting point, but it provides a hierarchy tree, basic aggregation rule, but no propagation rule. You cannot, at a level, determine how the severity is propagated to parent service. For example, I would like to decrease or to increase the severity according to Y I have at the low level. There is no map. So the problem is, if you have a huge number of services, it's not easy to deal with that. You need to scroll. You have the same problem with a flat display because you need to scroll to know how the state of any service at each time. Now, I present RealOpInsight. It's a project so I start to create in 2010 to write the first line code. The goal is to provide a powerful business service management tool on top of Nagios. It is a C++ Qt-based application, so it is easy cross-platform. You work on Linux, Windows, and OS/X. You have better interactiveness versus web interfaces because of a GUI application. But he also allows an embedded web browser, so you can still have access to your default Nagios interface from the software. It is generic and scalable. This allows you to centralize information from up to 10 monitoring servers in the same dashboard. So you can build a business view that collects information from several Nagios servers. So this information, as I say, comes at the low level of the hierarchy, and then you define how this are propagated through the hierarchy to determine how actually each incident impact your business. So, in a few words, here are some features of the project. Effective monitoring sees you can prioritize the recovery incident based on business impact. You can specialize your dashboard, notably if you have several IT departments or several departments that rely on the same infrastructure. You can build dashboard for each department that allow to monitor the service provided by this department. Advanced processing rules is you determine in a fine-grained way how each incident actually impact your business throughout an hierarchy. Centralized dashboard, it is free, open source. So you can download as you want. So you can, moreover, you can personalize the message you show on the operation console. I will show that. So according to what you have with Nagios, for example, you have, okay, service, maybe this, 20%, and so on. You can personalize the message to have a more comprehensive message. So you can also have system tray notification where you have your Windows disabled. You have a system tray notification that alerts you, hey, it is something that happened on your infrastructure, so you need to take care about that. So RealOpInsight is three main components in the same dashboard. It's review that allows to explore the hierarchy quickly. From the tree view, you can, for example, you can make some filter to filter only messages that are related to a given service. You have a map that represents your service view. So in one shot, you can know how your service actually operates. And then you have a message console that gives you detailed message about each load level service. You can filter this load level service to only show message related to issue. So here is an example that shows how a critical event, according to the rule we define, can be changed to a major because maybe we have a redundant database. Here you need to aggregate to say if there are at least one service that operates, there's no problem. It's natural. But in some cases, you could use the high-level criticality. So like that, if a service fails, you know that your service is actually impacted. It is a simple concept. You have to define your service view through an XML file. Don't worry. You don't need to edit an XML file with your own. There is an editor which allows you to create the hierarchy of view. You can make drag and drop and so on, and then you save. Then you launch the operation console and load the XML file. And then, according to your configuration, the console goes to contact the Nagios server and retrieve information to update your monitoring view. Here is the architecture. It is a loosely coupled architecture that depends either of live status API, it is like MKey live status, or a specific daemon, but the daemon is only a workaround, but it's not a performant way. So for example, if you use the specific daemon, it is the software we provide through our website, you download and then install it on Nagios server, and you need to specify the path to the status dot that of Nagios. Then this daemon enables a 0MQ based API to contact to allow the data retrieving. But it's not recommended because when you read Nagios status that, it's not performant. When you have a huge environment, it is not performant to read each time the Nagios status that. And then, since the status that is updated with a delay, you don't have accurate information. The second approach is to use live status by enabling a XNet TCP socket over the native enabler status socket. So it is very simple. You need to define a configuration from etc XNetD live status, for example, where you specify the port on which the socket will listen, and then the socket of live status. This only means that when a connection arrives from this socket, XNet forward that to live status, so you can have accurate information. So it is very simple because most of Nagios installation use live status to retrieve data. For example, for Nagios or so on. So it is natural because we often have live status deployed to our server. It is more scalable and you have more accurate data. So to configure, it is also simple. You just need to specify the address of Nagios server, the port on which either the specific demo or the live status socket will listen. And then optionally, you can specify the URL to connect to Nagios server, to the web interface of Nagios. So you will have from the default the embedded web browser an access to the Nagios web interface. You don't need to have a second browser to deal with that. You can have that in the same application. Then when you set that, you apply. And then for your configuration, I say that you need to specify which service will be correct. So here is a basic example. I have here a service defining the root partition of my SQL server. What I need to know is the name of the service, the name of the host. You see there, so in RealOpInsight, I need to specify that. And then slash, I need to precise the service description, the service I want to retrieve from this server. It is optional. If I don't set this, I will use ping, so to check the status of a host. So when I define this, it's OK. So I define my configuration from the editor. Then I run the configuration manager to set how I will connect to the Nagios server to retrieve data. And then load this configuration from my operation console, and then I will operate. So I will give somewhat about the history of the project. So it started in 2008, because before that I was working in a company providing IT monitoring solution service. But I left that to start my PhD. So I started write the first line of code at 2010. So the first release was in 2011, March. Less than 30 download the first month. Then 1 year later, I rebuilt the solution with a new architecture, distributed architecture, because first we need to use X-Forward to access the application. It is not performant. It was not performant. So with the distributed architecture, we go to SourceForge and Azure Extend, provide a Windows installer. We go to 200 download a month. Then today, it is about a major release every 3 or 4 months. And then you have source table, binary for Windows, Fedora, open source, and Debian, built from Open Build Service. It is about 7,000 downloads the last 12 months, and about 700 downloads a month. We are also Nagios affiliate. We don't have money with that, but we hope that we will get money with that. So if you want to contribute with the project, we will keep contact with us. Here are some links. In 2040, we would like to build a web-based interface. So here is my LinkedIn profile if you want to connect with me. So if you want to contribute to the project, feel free to contact us. If you have any question, welcome. Hi.
Can we get a demo?
A demo? Yes, of course. Maybe I will do the demo at the after all the questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Superb. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi. It seems like you have some redundancies where you said it relies on status that on the
Yes.
thing. And then you also have make live status, which forwards the information, and you're also requiring us to put the web address. That is how is it? That is how is it? 3 ways of getting the information from Nagios. So
Yeah.
so which one are you relying on? All three, or just status that, or HTML parsing, or make live status?
Oh, for status data, we make passing, row passing. But as I said, the status data, you relying on status data is not efficient. The good solution is to rely on live status.
The live status.
Yes.
Okay.
But status data is the recurrent solution for simple infrastructure, but it's not efficient because we make a row passing of the file.
Yeah, that's where I got confused. Where if you're reading status that, you won't need make live status. If you have make live status, you won't need a status.
Effectively, it is
You know?
one of solution. You need to choose one of solution. It's not the
Okay,
both.
okay, you can actually pick from the configuration.
Yes, yes, of course. I will show you, but there, I don't insist about that. But here, you need to check this to this and to tell I just want to use live status.
Okay, okay.
If you don't set, you will try to use the first approach.
Okay.
So it is one of the approach.
I had a question about the live status versus the daemon. You seem to imply that the daemon was not a recommended if you're scaling it.
To scaling, for scaling,
Yeah, it wasn't real clear whether you were which of the two you were recommending. It seemed like you were kind of not recommending using the daemon. At least
the daemon is only recommended if you have maybe it is most simple if you don't have live status in your infrastructure. Secondly, it is more easy to test the software. But as I say, it is for small infrastructure. If you have a huge infrastructure, it is not the good thing to parse the status data because we will alter the performance of your Nagios server. It is not good. So it is a solution, but it's not a good solution for a complex infrastructure.
okay.
So to complete what I said, so here, because I can have more than 10 sources, for each source I can determine the approach I use. So I could use for the first source live status, the second source the daemon. So it depends of what you want to do.
Any more questions? Rodrigue here.
You mentioned that you could only take it from 10 sources. I just wanted to understand why there is a limitation of 10 sources only. How you are
Sorry,
pulling the
I
data.
didn't catch you.
So you mentioned that you are taking data from 10 separate sources, like Nagios servers or any other compatible servers.
Yes.
So why is there a limitation of 10 servers? What kind of architecture you are using?
Oh, okay. All depend from the architecture. For each source, I need to determine. For example, I need to determine which kind of API I need to contact. But all is done in a transparent way, regarding the user. You just don't want to define from your configuration wizard here. This source is a Nagios source and depend of live status. Then the software automatically determine how it will contact the service. There are several approaches like REST data retrieving. There are TCP data retrieving. It depends, but it is transparent to user.
Okay. So why is there a limitation of 10? Why can't you have more than 10?
What? Why can't you have more than 10? More than 10? No, not support. Cannot, because it is basically it is a hard limit. No reason about that. It is not a hard limit because we say I don't know if some people like to go to 20 or so on, but it is a hard limit. Not real reason about that, but we just fix that like that. Maybe to have a nice interface, but there is not a real reason about that. But we just fix that deliberately.
Okay, thank you.
But maybe if there are some reason to extend, we could extend, but there is no reason, hard reason about that. There is no real reason about that.
Any more questions out there?
I will show the demo. So I need to restart because to restart in the Linux environment. So in Windows I can test that.
Still everyone knows what it is.
No, I shouldn't hardly. Okay. Okay. Yeah, for my demo, I will use the daemon because it is more fast to test. So here, I already have that compiled. I will start the daemon. So I will start with using a statue dash. Need to be root, no problem. Okay, I start my demo. Now, I will first show an example that I already built. Then I will show you how to create, for example, a service view. Here I will also use this. So I will start a version with multi-source, but this couldn't work. So it will take it a while since this version use different sources. All the sources are not available. So we try to contact, since it depends on REST request, will take a while to try to contact the different server. So after that, you will see in the console that some source was not able to reach.
If we use a US, that will say in English, right?
Sorry. Oh, yeah, it's just. Oh, sorry. Okay, we will multi-language, so you can use this if you want. If you want, yes, no problem.
I have a question on how you create more accounts. There's the standard two.
So
I couldn't find a way to change
actually, currently there are only 2 accounts.
Well, I think you already heard. There's the 2 standard accounts that come with. Is there a way to change the names of those accounts if I want to give that to my internal customers?
Currently, no, but maybe if some people like to do that, we could do, but currently no. But it's not working. Not at this stage, no. Maybe I will start the first version. Maybe I will show a fast version. This is a single source version. Yes, this is a single source version. But here, he asks the Nagios password for the default web interface. So here, like you can see that, so we can make zoom, for example. Or with scroll, we can also make zooming with scrolling. So I don't have mouse there. So I can, for example, filter message related to this node, if I want. Or here, when I'm have mouse there, I have detail about the service with tooltips. So for about filtering, I can also enlarge the font, something not. Here also, from here also I can filter message. And then for about statistic, when I put the mouse here, but normally we have here tooltips to give detail about the chart. I don't know why I can do it. You can also even save the map somewhere. For example, I save that to my office. PNG up. Then I could sorry?
You started it with a dot. It's hidden.
Document?
No, no. You named it. It had a dot.
With
It
dot?
named.
Or I will save again.
It's hidden.
From the left up. Ah, yes, I see.
You may do it again.
Dot again? Ah, yes. What the fuck? Thank you. Up. Here I have my map, so I can share this if I want to share. So here, for the load another dashboard, here we have a multi-source, but all the sources have not available. So you will see the dashboard that you can contact the source. So timeout exit. That are error returned by the API by the API. It is here they are post with HTTPS. So with HTTP, so the host is not available. Here they tell you that this source is not set. You haven't yet defined this source. So here, because if you see at the preference windows, the source 2 is not set. When you set the source, it is enabled. Here the source is not set, so you see in the dashboard that the source is not yet set. So you can. So here it is in Nagios conference, so I will not talk about it. And so that is. So that is. I don't know if you have another question about the demo or something. The graphical representation is automatically generated according to your configuration. To make that more fun, I will do that to show you. Here.
It doesn't email alerts.
Sorry?
It doesn't email alerts.
Email? No email. Sorry. For you, the map is generated automatically. I will show you more examples. Here, I will launch the editors with the same file. Up. So here, I have my hierarchy. So as I say, I can make organization on the fly. Now I will duplicate arbitrarily, so just to show for the demo. Here is the node. Because it is a low-level node, I can pass child node. That's why I have this alarm. Now I save that for test. Okay, here I see that it is a Nagios base 1 up. It's okay. Now I will launch the console. With what I create. Same now, we need to set the password of. You see, automatically the dashboards generate. I generate something really randomly. So the dashboard is generate to give more technical things. The dashboard generate using GraphViz. I don't know if you know GraphViz. Yes, just automatically generate the topology of your graph. Well, so as I say, you have the default Nagios web interface. You can navigate through the interface if you want. So you can go through to full screen mode if you want. So here, when you have multi-source, you can choose the source that you want to load in the browser when you have multi-source. So I don't know, another question?
Upcoming projects, excuse me, any upcoming projects that you're working on currently?
For this? Yes, we work on, because some users say they want to have a web interface. So we work to have that. So normally it is planned for 2040.
Any more questions for Rodrigue? Okay, well,
Okay,
that about does it. Let's give him a big round of applause.